I don't know if we're going to get it. Leon's looking through his shades. Okay, here we go. All right, before I throw down to the desk one more time, as our two amazing teams get all set up and ready for battle, I want to make sure that this crowd is here for it. Xset versus Rogue. Are we ready?
Than a thinker being banned. Okay, as I was saying, Xset, they've dropped one map this tournament so far, and it was to Rogue. It was the very first map they've played. There's a Let's Go Rogue.
It's a different Let's Go tune, though.
It is.
We have started to evolve here. If you had any doubts on who the favorite here is in Berlin, I think that is about to be wiped off. Let's get going onto the basement here. The first site we'll head to. It's going to be Rogue on that defense. Are we going to see any roam game? Probably yes. We have the Oryx on the board. We have Kanto onto the castle. So a setup around the open area will more than likely be in place, and it will have to be dealt with by Xset.
All right, Rogue, we've seen some superstar performances from a superstar roster, but you're here to have a good time, and you're the only thing EU's really got left. And I'm not going to try and throw too much bias into this, because at the same time, Xset have played a very impressive tournament so far. Both teams have had huge moments. Both teams have deserved their spot here. And to be honest, either of them deserve a spot in the final, but only one of them is going to be the one that makes it. It's been a back and forth, a map traded a piece. Can the energy of Rogue knocking past G2 be enough to carry them through in what was a hell of a showdown, or will Xset, dispatching one EU team, find one more on the chopping block? It's an approach of an Xset attack, first of all, something they've done very, very well. There's a consistency. Multiple Xset players will try and find themselves against a single opponent, and Spoit might be that first engagement. Who else but the young superstar?
Spoit having an incredible tournament so far. And we've seen him play around this top floor so many times. He is being droned currently, though, and thus has to fall back. Wants to make sure he keeps control of his own life. And on that top floor as well, by not taking too much risk this early on. Klein is ready with a pre-play C4. There comes the repellent from Yoga. Is this going to be the detonate?
No.
Not yet.
A little bit misplaced and played. Kino's found his way right round onto server. He's alongside a creep and Diaz. They're hoping. They've gone undetected, and there's not a huge amount of support and structure around the site itself. In fact, only really a single backline player and one locked in towards Garage. Diaz gives the game away that we have this territory. He knows there's other work to do. They're hoping to force the Rogue players to fall back against them, but there's not too much of a stress that's coming against them as of yet.
There's a couple of alibi prisoners set up outside of the garage, so they know no one's going to be coming from that direction, because the majority will be trying to go for a CC plant. You see the Monty stacked up there, Sport trying to retake that top floor under control to allow himself to at least draw a bit of attention to that top floor. Make sure they cannot go for a direct breach onto the site.
Well, it's a 1 versus 1. They have a bit of an angle down towards each other. They are closer than they think, but in the meantime, they're close enough to the site to start thinking about a plant. It's forcing a little bit of Rogue attention to be paid. Leon is stacked up on one side. He's kind of in that sort of stock position of calling it to Kanto and Deepak, who wants to swing the C4 over the top. They're waiting for just somebody to try and hold F behind it. The frag goes for a roll, and it's not that connection. It's Leon. Takes care of Diaz. Kino, he's trying to get the stick behind the Monty. There's the C4. There's a lot of damage. They stop the plant. Gomez suffers, but Yoga gets Kanto. Kino, he's trying to go for a second stick, but Spoit from the top rope. Will he go for the drop? Leon, and Leon finds 2 apiece. Now it's a Monty, but Spirits gets 1, but Deepak has that cover. There's Yoga. He gets the down onto Cry and leaves just Deepak and Spoit left. There's 25 seconds. They know exactly where the kid is. The Flash is going to come down for a roll, but Spoit's still on the top floor. There's a ping towards him. They're looking for an engagement, but he's a man more than happy to find them of his own. 15 seconds. Waste the time, waste the pressure, waste the point. Yoga, you've got to find 2 stories worth the damage. You're in the middle of 2 players. And I think it's fair to say this round, this opener, this start, it's Rogues.
1-0 to Rogue as they started strong onto the basement. That was a good attempt from Xset, though. They had the shield, they had the players inside. All that was necessary to get the plan down is just that that top floor control did not hold, and they weren't able to deal with Leon going aggressive through the servers fighting back, stopping everybody but that Monty. But there's nothing really Montaigne can do from there on. And you see it here in the replay, just the aggression. Taking down the first, finding the flick onto the blue stairs as well. And after that, dying by the Monty, but the job already done. The diffuser dropped on the ground, and the round secured for Rogue.
They alluded to it on the desk. They said Rogue's a team that plays good Siege because they're having fun playing Siege, and that's that sort of bottom line. If you've got Leon, that core of the team, happy, able to go for those bits of movement against a team like Xset, who also play happy, upbeat Siege, it's an important factor to keep. The games that Rogue say they lost was because of their own mental position. They went in with the idea that they went up to scratch. That first round gives me lessons learned.
As we continue, we are up at the top floor now. The castle to be used to look off of these long angles, especially towards the outside. Ryan was debating whether or not he should have gone for a spawn peek, but decided against it. So Mr. Rogue is finding himself safely. Deepak inside the Janitors is going to be absolutely crucial for Rogue. He has the opportunity to look through smokes to make sure he will not get flashbanged out, and as long as he's alive, a repel in, execute is not going to be sticking around too long for Xset. So they need to deal with him one way or another, even though their execute doesn't revolve around flashbangs or smoke canisters. Deepak in that position still will shut you down if you go for a plant.
Leon, what are you trying here? Oh, he's tempted by the idea of a jump out, but both players are pretty aggressively watching this. He's in the middle of a danger spot and he doesn't quite get it. Spirits was holding off the side of the angle, able to find the early pick. It's always a gamble. You assume your life is forfeit for the jump out anyway, but he couldn't even get one for the trouble. There's Kanto! Lanto Raketti with a little bit of a response. Kino, can he catch the third in this leg race across the board? Xset, they're holding at bay for now, letting some of the structure and demolition happen on the far side. Krine's tucked, and he's still protected.
Playing on the Kanto spot near the elevator as well. There is a drone on one of the lights. The Spirits will find Kanto. Shuts him down. A man advantage still there for Xset. But there's a lot of work to do still, and most of the players of Xset are still outside, still need to make their way in. And I said it before, they are on that rappel, and as long as Deepak is currently in that position, it's going to be very difficult for them to get a plan down.
That's it. They're trying to get the loose angle here. Spirits is spraying against the soft. You can see Spoit wanted to try and just tap a bullet towards, but they're not giving it over too easily. So Xset, they're structuring around here, the push up the spiral stairs. They did have the drone with the recon and the intel, but are they entirely sure on the positions of Krine? The wall starts to get cracked open by the sounds of it. There's some ideas, and Krine isn't going to sit around and find out what those ideas are. Hot droned up Yoga towards the top, gets an easy pick onto Spoit based on the rolling hot world. It's a 4 versus 2. Xset still stacked on the windows, round on the back. It's an important fight for Krine, and he wins it out. There's the next, and it's Deepak to bring us back into a 2 versus 2.
He sneaks out, goes to the top of square. He needs to be careful though, because there is, of course, the Kali still watching with that 12-time scope, holding off the tight angle. Diaz looking to push in as well as Kino makes his way into the actual bomb site here. They want to go for a plant. Deepak takes a bit of damage. Krine still below though, has a nitro cell. It has detonated that, but hasn't found any of the remaining Xset players. A missed headshot tap there from Diaz, but 45 seconds will be on the clock as Kino completes the actual defuse there. Does a little bit of team damage. Not ideal, but they continue fighting against 2 low HP Rogue members.
It's a tricky fight, and they do a little bit more scrap. They're putting him low, but Kino has a rifle that's heavy, and Diaz is just as 1-to-1.
No need to boo here. It is going to be a fair fight between NA and EU.
I think he knew how it would go.
Of course it would go that way. But it is only map 1. It's only map round 2. Indeed, that's how we respond to these kind of situations.
It's a sign.
It is a sign. There's multiple around. Not quite sure if we can read what's on it, but we'll definitely get around that.
Okay, a bit of a better start here for Xset. They had a response. Rogue, a couple of pulls apart. They went for the risky run out. Obviously didn't quite have it. Xset, they know the team they're up against. They lost the first. As we said before, it was a bit of a surprise. They almost didn't seem ready for the sort of game that Rogue likes to play. Learned lessons, came back, and had a much more powerful second performance. And here, again, that awareness that a Rogue player is likely to throw themselves out of a window at the 2-minute mark. Okay, they can try and net a body from the exchange of that.
Top floor again, going to be at least a bit of a focus point as you see some of these hatches to be reinforced as we are headed towards the open area. Now, cameras being set up as well. Information network slowly starting to be created by the hands of Rogue, but I need to be careful because Xset is already quite close to the building. 13 seconds had passed. We already find some on the doorways here. Diaz droning into the ATMs, wants to make sure a quick entry is about to happen. Yoga already repelled up together with Spirits to take that top floor under control. How will the C4s net this time though? Last time they were a bit too late, but if they are ready to go for them again, we might find some success there for Rogue.
Crying, sort of hoping somebody swings a little bit closer to him, but the drone game is consistent here from Xset. They know, well, you don't really want to try and face check players that do that for practice. It's a spread out approach, but Kanto first off the board. Yoga, once again, able to drive himself in. A great couple of openers here for him. And he's, again, if we're going to talk about the players you want to see from Rogue, as a Rogue fan to step up, it's definitely one on the side of Xset here.
Taking top control. Slowly headed over towards the balcony, finding out about these reinforced hatches, of course. Verticality coming through. Now, luckily for Rogue, even if he loses verticality, it's not meaning the end of the world. Spoit ready to toss up a nitro cell, hoping one of the Xset players is coming to open up the hatch very soon to create a bit of extra rotation speed. Doesn't seem to be the case quite yet, though. Spirits is quite close, actually, on that.
Seems like it's turned into a fight. Spirits versus, Spoit, but it's Diaz actually that gets the confirmation. Once again, Rogue have found themselves a couple of bodies down as it was before. They fought back into the 3 versus 3. There's the ping on the player just round on the corner. And they kind of want to go for the angle in the fight, push the momentum. But when the break comes from behind, Leoni's isolated. He's in a bit of a scrappy engagement with Spirits. Does enough, but Gomez and Cryan have one apiece on the cover. The kit's cold. A minute on, they're on the top of the stair set. They want to see if they can get one more for the trouble, but Deepek almost entirely dropped. More of a flash and a push. And they force them away from the kit. The 2 remaining Rogue players, same pair as before, but more opponents to try and work with Cryan. Sprays and pre-fires the soft, draws all the focus and attention towards him. Yoga's inside the site with the kit.
Plan soon to be underway, 45 seconds on the board in just a matter of seconds. The Yoga actually goes off. Of course, the Evil Eye still around. Deepek wanting to use that to at least deal a little bit of damage, maybe even completely deny that plant and give Ryan some opportunity to retake here. He's fully blinded, deals a little bit of damage, but stays alive somehow. Swaps over to the Deagle, another flashbang comes out, not quite hitting the mark. 45 seconds on the board now, a retake needing to happen on the sides of Rogue.
They went for the aggressive fight on the top. Diaz saved by the blind there. The pre-fire almost connected, but Cryan and Deepek, massively low amount of health. They've got to take this first engagement. Diaz able to win out it. And he's looking for the next fight. There is the spray over the top from Deepek. Gets the down, but not a lot of time to get the remaining 2 players. There's a hatch, there's angles, there's opener, and there's a Maestro cam that might be able to get some impression of where they're at, but barely any time left. They're keeping themselves tucked. One on the hatch and one on the door itself. He might not even be able to make the distance to the kit at this point. And here, Xset, they drive themselves 1 round ahead.
Xset now leading here against Rogue on bank. On the attack. Good second round, or good third round for them to come in, the second on the board. Rogue needing to regain themselves, pick themselves back up, because usually they do like this map. It is the map where they have beaten G2 over the stage, taking their revenge for what happened in stage 1, of course. So they are quite comfortable around here. But we have to mention it, and that is going to be in favor of the Rogue fans. It is a 50% defensive win rate for them. If they pick up 3 rounds, they'll be more than happy with that. Their attack is generally way better on Bank.
It is something that works together on Bank. Bank is a good map for attackers. You can really drive yourself into it. It's sort of, even in its previous iteration, it wasn't one too far away. We're on a Rogue timeout, as you can see now. Just get a conversation in, try and bring themselves back around. They know that they want to not hand any momentum over to Xset because they are purely at points a massively momentum-driven team. They know how to sort of grab a fight and hold on. Over the past couple of rounds, we've seen an Xset player just sort of slip and slink their way into the site. We keep seeing just spaces from the big rotates that Rogue like to play. They're trying to go for these retakes, and it isn't quite coming together.
Of course, me be a mastermind. And Siege is going to be able to give these pointers out towards his soldiers. Make sure that make the differences that are necessary. As round 4 is about to get underway, we're back towards the bottom floor, back towards the basement. The side that Rogue has been able to win before. We have to say, though, it was on the back of Leon going quite aggressive, able to swing with the Monty there, taking out the player onto the blue stairs and the player right behind the Monty on that cover. Cannot rely on that happening twice. So you need to bring something else to ensure yourselves of success. And in just a matter of seconds, we'll find out what it is that they exactly have brought. Now, luckily, there's no Monty on the board this time. That does tell you it's going to be a bit more of a usual kind of take coming out from Xset as Cryin pulling out in time, realizing he had been spotted by that drone.
Yeah, the drone got an early ping on him there, but again, it's something we've talked about with Xset. It's a very complimentary drone game. They know that they sort of want to have eyes and ideas across the entirety of the approach. It's not just generally a funnel down a single route, but a single player will start to drone an entrance and allow the others to find other points of pressure. Spirits and Yoga once again doubling up on these windows, covering in case anybody goes for a swing here. Safety first seems to be the MO, and up against Rogue. And with the current scoreline, it's something that's netting them some success. Spoit still fighting and dancing with drones on the top floor, but with a single player outside stock, and I think one was roughly around the other skylight as well. He's not gonna risk it. For now, Rogue just trying to hold on, waste as much time as they possibly can, so Xset don't really have any good control. The first E1D pops, some red pings are coming through. Yoga would like to respond to that, but it's a bit too slow with the actual skeleton key. Cryin is able to make it out in time. Now, together with Kanto in the open area, there is some castle barricades, there is some reinforcements, there is a form of security and safety. Leon, he suffers a little bit. He was around the top floor. There it is. Gomez was on square hatch all the way down towards Leon. He's not going to try and double with that again. There's pings and sprays coming through from the Valk cams. They're trying to find a loose player. There's obviously still the potential of some destruction. You have the C4 in the pocket. I'm not sure if one is loose yet or not, but still. It's a slow angle. Cryin, who are you thinking about fighting? Lion just comes around a split second. You actually try and lean back into the fight. It's not an easy one to take. There's the ping. You assume they're not going to push too much further. There's the drop on the hatch, and it's Yoga once again finds the opening.
Kanto again taken out first here now, opening up onto the open area a bit more. They want to get control. A Spirits will find Cryin. Bit of a dangerous rotate there, caught off, and again, Xset find themselves with a 2-man advantage here on Bank. Looking to build towards their third round, but Spoit has something to say about that. We'll find Gomez. He is quite low on HP, but it's definitely going to be an entry that is more than welcome for Rogue.
Xset pop another E1D. They're all out of those charges at this point. Every push and rush has to come from the back of their guns, and it's Spirits that goes down. Swung around and locked out by Spoit for a second. Diaz is going to step his way towards the break as the breach itself comes together from the remaining pair. Opt actually against the fight. Going to use the hard breach charge to give themselves some width. Kino going to see if he can sneak the plant in. Hey, here's the C4 delivery system. There's the wrong end of it though. Yoga able to find a kill with the cover. They're tucked around. 15 seconds. The hatch open. They're concerned about a drop on it. The blinds are coming through. They're going to see if they can stick the plant once more. There's the blinds again. Really throwing everything to make sure that this stays locked. There's a swing round. Deepak cannot quite get the full two, but gets one. Diaz above the hatch. He's holding himself a little bit further away. Pre-fires the Prisma. Trying to find the angle. Spoit, he's good at this game, but Kino's good at that too. More blinds, more hatches, more vertical control. Spoit can't find it.
And Xset able to pick up another round. 3-1. And again, I mentioned it before, if it is a 3-3, there's nothing to worry about if you are a Rogue fan. But that does mean they need to start getting these rounds in right now. Are they going to run it back? They're going to go for a different site? Who knows? Xset definitely more than content with their current performance so far, and if they continue, will be finding themselves at a very good first half. Rogue tried to fight back, just losing out on these early entries is really what is starting to hurt them here.
I mean, it's a well put together push it from Xset.
Yeah.
The flashes, the combination, all of that control of the intel is something where we said before they learned the lesson of what Rogue like to do. And it's really being put across the boards here on Bank. When you're looking at the follow-up maps, you're looking at obviously Chalet as the next possibility, something Xset, again, more than happy to run the boards on, something we haven't seen so much.
So, this map matters a lot. You want to make sure you pick it up, and
5 seconds remaining.
Rogue in need of some energy here. just to fight back, just to put round 5 into their own pockets and give themselves that extra bit of breathing room for the second half. And again, they are at that bottom floor. They are in the basement. And what happened here last time is those 2 early pickups. The Lion led in, basically spotted Kanto out as the hatch drop came through. It was impossible for him to win in that situation, but you kind of have to put yourself in these areas, in these situations where you have someone to cover you, where you can play on contact with each other. And that's what we're seeing more of Rogue now. Spoit and Cryin out and about above, trying to give each other some support, whereas the rest is on site.
More drones, more Lion, and more trying to hunt them quicker than anything else. They're trying to offer each other a little bit of a support structure here, and Cryin actually maybe wants to lean in. The push comes through on the far side of the soft. Yolga, as I said, he's got a very good record of this entry statistic. He's looking for this fight onto long. That's the ping, and the pre-fire is his. Yolga once again spirits very quickly. Gets the second, and the E1D just means once again Rogue's loose game has been pretty quickly shut down.
Not even the E1D, but also the drone game. Rogue just unable to deal with the drones that Xset have either rolling into the site or pre-placed, because you see every single time they're about to take a gunfight, the yellow ping comes out and they're being completely obliterated as a result of it. And Xset again find themselves with a 2-man advantage here. Of course, Rogue did manage to find some back every single time. There is going to be another red ping. Kanto drops. Wasn't able to find Spirits in return. He's about to go into a second gunfight, though, as I believe it is going to be Leon that pushes up and finds a kill.
All right, Leon, now's the time to shine. We are once again in a 4 versus 2, weighted towards the favor of Xset and NA. A minute 10. Deepek playing around on the stairs. The connection, Kino's holding it off, though. They seem to have an awareness, and it's a risky move. And, well, I think the bullets give him an idea. But look, they're chasing him. They want to put the pressure. Gomez is underneath as well. He's got to try and fight his way out one of the 2 doors. But unfortunately, surrounded just leaves Leon not for very long. 4-1 to Xset.
The drones are too powerful. Rogue is unable to deal with them currently. And as you give them their energy, they need to put it in finding a way to deal with these drones. A Vigil, perhaps. A Mute and Mozzie combination if you want to go for the roam.
Kino on stage, he's doing his best to try and get the Xset fans to rally against the might of Rogue, but I think when you're in the heart of EU and the heart of Berlin, well, it was like when we were back in Charlotte a couple of months ago. Xset, they're leading well on that control here on Bank. Obviously, it is a map that does lead well to attackers, but you have to give credit to how quickly they're able to get an idea on where the Rogue players are and then just force them into trickier and trickier situations. Rogue obviously have taken their time out. They've had that conversation early on, and they haven't been able to win a round since.
Are we really seeing a Blackbeard and Kali combo about to be making an entrance here at the Major? Blackbeard? Operator we haven't seen for a very long time.
Could this be the first Blackbeard player
during this Major? Possibly. It'll be good to see how that works out. But I was just calling out the Mute and Mozzie combo, but Mute has been banned, of course, and that might be the reason why Rogue is struggling so much dealing with these drones.
It was their ban?
Of Xset. Yeah, it was their ban, but it's like they kind of would have liked to have it right now because they are struggling so much. They keep on being yellow pinged. The drones are everywhere. They're unable to deal with them at this very situation.
There's the pressure from the Gon 6 over the swing of Banana. They're hoping to try and force out the position of anyone that might be there. But otherwise, not quite caught out. It's still this Xset game, still this Xset approach. Rogue, if they can try and find a second round, then they might be able to make something of it. And Kino takes the header for Kanto as the open.
Again, the entry here for the side of Xset. Rogue, they really need to turn this around. This map is slowly but steadily getting out of their grasp right here. As Kino finds that first, you just mentioned it, still active on these windows, wants to open up now for the Blackbeard to use that shield to its advantage, hoping to find Deepek, who usually plays in the janitor office. Finds himself here again. holding. He's important for this hold because he can stop any pushing. Now, flashbangs are coming out. He thinks there might be something underway, but of course, no smokes on the board for Xset to use.
That's it. He was waiting to also hear if anything came behind it. Leon's a bit of backline support on the long meeting desk. There's still more drones. There's a grenade, takes care of Spoit up in the Kanto corner. Leon wants to see if he can maybe try and retake it. The C4 ripped over the top, doesn't quite get it. Cryan has to pull back before the fight goes against him. Leon's trying to watch from the top rope, gets down on one. There's a swing in on the window. He's reloading. Gomez, reaction spirit, takes the side. Xset.
5-1 for Xset, but the side half is coming through. And if there's anything we have learned in Siege is that comebacks are always possible because it is a game of two halves. Well, you might struggle on that defense. The attack might be more kind to you. There we go. It takes one loud voice and a willing crowd.
As many times as we've said, Xset have all the weight of NA on them. At this point, this is the first time all of EU has its weight and its hopes and its dreams. For the first title in a while, behind a single entity, they were able to push past some of their opponents. That's a cool count.
I think I just heard a Vuvuzela. It's like,
oh, that takes me back.
There's something out here.
All right. Is this a map that's really leaning heavily into the statistics of being attacker-sided, or is Xset pushing the pressure on? They are only 2 rounds shy of taking this first map. They're 2 rounds shy of doing it in an impressively dangerous fashion as well. Rogue really need to find an energy that they haven't had since the opening round, the only round that they've been able to take across at this map.
The bad news is that the overall percentage over the major so far has been 49% defense. So slightly favored towards the attackers, but not 5-1 favored for the attackers. Now, Rogue's attacking percentage, though, is higher, so should be giving them a bit of an easier time. And if they do start to get into that momentum, if they do start to chain 1, 2, maybe even 3 rounds in a row, it's definitely going to be possible. They do have information themselves as well. They know someone's out there. Spoit goes for the first attempt, misses the head of Gomez, but he's definitely going to be stuck on this square area right now.
Not the most traditional thing for Spoit to miss, but Gomez doesn't. Catches the drone on the way out the door as well. The opener is Xset's. Once again, a statistic that has been so consistent for them across this game as of this moment. Kanto concerned about a watch now as they've lost the control in the fight over onto square. There's the glass, looking for the angle. The smoke canister pops through, and there's the side of a smoke. He's poppering. He cannot quite get the full connection. Not entirely sure.
A little bit of a box out there is protecting him. Protecting Kino as we go. Another smoke canister will be tossed in. I think they might just go for a bit of a plant right here for Rogue.
Well, it's a dangerous take to try and do it on. They're just throwing the smokes across the board. They have the candelas in pocket, but they don't really have much else. Deepak and Cryan, they're trying to retake the chance at a square lockdown here, but they've got to go further and further out because those players on the top floor, Yoga especially, they're still not really threatened. He's on the 3 OKD. He's doing some big business so far, and the longer they're just sort of finding themselves stuck sitting here. Here's the break, here's the breach, there's the catch. The C4 isn't shot out, it's a double for Gomez, and Kanto can only look into the blinding whites of the candela from a second before. It's spirits from the top of square. And Cryan, to keep this game off of map point, has to pull an ace clutch, but it's a team talk, I think.
It's going to be a team talk, so there's this 6-man crowd right here. Make sure you make that noise. Give them all your power. I know you've been trying to do so, but they're really going to be needing it. They're trying to go for a bit of a new chant, but not quite connecting yet. Cryan taking a lot of damage, realizing that on 10 HP, it's not going to be working out for him. So falls all the way back towards the old garage. He's going to be sitting out here next to the bins, actually on the staircase, and he's going to take these next 30 seconds to discuss what can we bring, because 6-1 is inevitable right now, but we can still come back from this as Gomez locks it up for the flawless round with a quad kill.
You can't argue with the fact that Xset are hitting some shots right now, and Rogue, some shakes that we haven't really seen too much of throughout their run throughout this tournament. Whether it's just the stress of this first map, their map going away from them or not, Some of these little slip past are things that maybe once a game, maybe once a round. But here they cannot get a handle on this. Again, a tragic C4.
And it was always going to be common. I mean, it was ripped, and you just tried to go for a straight up plant. There was no other control. You didn't have that first floor. You didn't have the hatches. You basically allowed them to just toss in that utility for free. One piece for one piece. Gotta make sure that that doesn't happen. And at this point, though, the map is quite, looking quite dire for Rogue. 5 map points they need to fight back before they find themselves for an overtime situation where they can still take it home. Now, luckily, it's a best of 3. It is not over after this map is over. But it's definitely a heavy blow they would be receiving in their chase towards a final spot.
It's one of the things that was highlighted about Xset. They lost their very first map of groups because they were warming up. They sort of said they had a bit of a struggle at the beginning of their first map yesterday, but then obviously pulled it towards a win, and then the second was much more lightning. Gomez and Gomez! A double tragedy. He's looking for a third here. A jump out as Cryan suffers the wrong end of the spray. The Valk doing what Leon wanted to do, but it's Spirits that gets the kill. Spoit finds one, and another 4 versus 2 in the favor of Xset. A consistency of this game. Leon, he's looking for a fight and finds it. He pulls the body back. There's one more around the side of Janitors. You can see Spoit on the top of the skylight.
If there's a player you want to have in a situation like that, it would be Spoit. Getting some pings out, they're getting some drones out. The last 3 members are finding themselves on the site. Rogue, they need to make some thunder happen here. They need to strike hard and decisive. Most importantly, accurately against the remaining Xset players. Spoit on the janitor hatch, is quickly getting a drone in, wants to find some extra information, has the Gemini replicator as well to use, of course, but wants to isolate one of these players. One spotted out, not quite sure where he's gone though. So Connects will follow, not landing quite close enough, a little bit of damage done, but nothing too decisive as his entry gets locked off.
They have time to start trying to formulate something, but it's not an easy map. It's not an easy site to force a fight like this. There's a lot of routes and rumbles and corners for your opponents to play through, and there's not really a direct sort of straight way into open with any sort of cover. Spoit with the slow creep, but he doesn't get much further than the rotate. Leon gets all that's left of Rogue's hope here on their map pick, the opening map on Bank. He has a minute. He's trying to get lucky here, but Xset doesn't feel like tangoing and dancing. There's a bit of a spray underneath, and it's Xset